Jimmy, man, this is fascinating. And I'll say it this way. Mina Kimes tweeted this out when I saw this tweet come out on the 2nd, which was yesterday, but on 2 days ago, technically, based upon when you guys watch it, which is going to be on Monday, because we're recording this on Sunday night. Is she tweeted out this: "It's kind of depressing that this news, if confirmed, is more likely to get Snyder kicked out of the club than Wade's hands literally everything else." So for those that are wondering in this saga, the House Oversight Committee, federal govs, that is, has information alleging that the Washington Commanders used a scheme to hold back ticket revenue from the NFL. And these sources are telling Alex Perez over at Front Office Sports, the Commanders allegedly did not pass along the required 40% share of ticket sales to visiting teams. So, Jimmy, you've had beef with Dan Snyder for years. You've had beef with the way he runs things, and you have definitely been on the list of people saying that he should be gone. When I sent this to you all, did you think that Snyder was going to end up being forced out?
I think yes, now he will, because all of those other things, are in a category in and of themselves. But when you start messing with the NFL's money, as we know, in a capitalistic economy, when you mess with the money, that's when the money messes with you. This is exactly what needed to happen and what needed to be found out in order to finally do what the league should have done years ago, which is to remove Dan Snyder. And, I try to be nice. I try not to talk bad about people, but he has made it very, very difficult for me because everything about him and how he's run his organization just oozes sleaze. Like, we knew things like this were going on. Things like this, things like a hostile working environment didn't surprise anybody. Sexual misconduct didn't surprise anybody. We knew things were going on. It's just we just had nothing tangible in order to pin it on him. But something like this, because if the House Oversight Committee is alleging this, that means that they have numbers. They have hard data. They're not going to be made to look like it's a witch hunt or that they are an incompetent arm of the U.S. government. So they have hard data on this in terms of what he has done, probably not just this season, but in seasons past as well, depending upon how far back that they dig. So if this can be substantiated and the evidence that is placed before the NFL substantiates this, then there is no way they can allow someone like him, who is literally taking money out of the pockets of the other owners, to continue as the owner of this team.
No, you're exactly right. And so the way... For those that are wondering how exactly this made it to the feds, and this is supposed to be a football matter, the Oversight Committee has been investigating all of the issues they've been having with the employee relations portions of sexual misconduct and not paying employees proper wages, the equality in wages, all of that stuff, toxic work environment, all of that stuff is currently being investigated by the feds, because of the emails that came out and that were put out by the Washington Wall Street Journal as well as the New York Times. So when all of that stuff came out, the stuff that got John Gruden out the paint, this stuff is basically what is being investigated. And this, to me, is similar to a la your Al Capone scenario. All the crap that Dan Snyder's people have done, nothing has really led to anything. The dancers with their passports being taken from them overseas, their naked pictures being floated around the organization. No. None of that stuff is what's going to get this man gone. Just like with Capone, all the alleged killings and things that went down with him, that didn't get him in trouble. The investigation found out he was evading paying his taxes. And when you ain't paying your taxes, just like Big Worm said, you play with my money, it's like playing with my emotions. And that's exactly what Dan Snyder is now doing to these NFL teams. He's playing with their money. Now they're going to get emotional. And because of the fact that he potentially had 2 sets of books painting a different picture, because remember, they gave him a waiver for his debt so that he could buy out the 40% of the team that he did not own to get rid of those minority owners that were trying to force him to sell. And because they gave him that waiver, Now he's showing that they can't trust him. And at that point, if I can't trust you in my fraternity, especially one that you know that's an investment group that has everything to do with money, you got to go. In this scenario, it looks like the league will probably the league, I think, in a way, could probably just seize the team away from him and dang near take it from him for pennies on the dollar and sell it themselves and make money for all the other owners. That could be what happens, especially if he's holding back upwards of 40% of the money. And the way they found this was investigating all the workplace issues. It's just kind of one of those like, oh man, you know, by the way, here's the financials if you want to look at those. Hey, these financials don't look right. What's wrong here? There's something wrong here. This don't taste right. What'd you put in this? And this is exactly where we are. So in this case, like I said, you want Dan Snyder out the paint. This may be it. Now the question I'm curious about, who's going to buy him? I got an idea, but I'm wondering who think going to go out and buy this team?
I have no idea who might be out there who'd be willing to buy. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be buyers, they're investors. I mean, this is an NFL franchise, a very valuable property. But I'm interested to see who you think might be a candidate to be that person.
Okay,
or persons.
So in this scenario, I'm thinking about this individual. Okay, first you got to have some sort of ties to the area potentially. That's usually the thing you would want, or unless you just got a whole bunch of money and you just cool with burning it. But if you want to be honest, I think the dude that bought the Washington Post might end up buying this team. And your boy Jeff Bezos. This is the perfect purchase. He bought the Post. Why not just buy the football team there too? Because I mean, they're available. They're gonna be. You can offer the most money in cash. Nobody's gonna be able to outbid you. You can walk in there and say, "I'll pay $6 billion for it today," which is a ton of money, and just write the check right there on the spot.
Yeah,
and just go.
Yeah.
I mean, you worth over 200 and something billion. You can easily do that. Buy this team and continue to move forward. Is that something that these other owners would want? I don't know. They don't really care, to be honest. He'd be one of the big billies in the actual league. He may not have a whole bunch of influence, but he'd be one of the big billionaires. And they know he's got money. He's not someone they have to worry about. So.
Let me ask you this question. Would it more so come down to a bidding war, or would, let's say, the NFL, let's say they set the price at $5 billion or $6 billion, and then let's say you have 3 or 4 who were able to purchase it. Let's say Elon Musk came out of nowhere and said, I want to buy the team. Obviously, he can pay the $5 billion as well, just like Jeff Bezos. Would the NFL or would the owners then vote to determine which of those candidates who can pay the amount would have the team, or how does that work? Is it to the highest bidder?
No, it's the league. The owners will decide who they want in the league. So you have to be approved as an owner. It's not just walking in saying I can give you the most money. They don't care. This is a fraternity. You could be the most qualified person to get in there, and if they don't like you, they ain't letting you in. And if you want me to be absolutely honest, as outspoken as Elon Musk is, the way that he likes to run his mouth, I don't know if he can get in there. Bezos, we don't know much about him.
But that was just an example.
No, I get you.
Yeah, that was just an example.
And that's what I mean is that you got that's the totality of it, is looking at the type of person that will be coming in. Stan Kroenke's already got a bad vibe with everybody right now because he's not paying the legal fees he promised he'd pay. Even though he's a big Billy, he got the money, he ain't paying them. He's pissing a lot of people off. There's a chance that they may try to force him to sell the Rams, even though he just spent, $2-3 billion for that entire facility out there that's going on, the stadium and everything around it. He's pissed them off because he hasn't paid the $700 million in legal fees that was settled to St. Louis for them relocating the team, and he kind of broke the rules when he did it. So because of that, they are going to be kind of meticulous about who they allow into their tight-knit fraternity. So a guy like Musk, and as you said, it's an example, but a guy like him, that vocal, that probably won't. I don't think there's any black people that would have the money to be able to do that. They'd have to come up with a lot of capital. A whole bunch of people have to come together. So you're not going to find a black owner for the first time because it's going to be expensive getting into the NFL. If the Clippers sell for $2 billion, an NFL team selling for $5 billion. That's just my thoughts.
Right. And which, to that point, I mean, you have to consider someone like Steve Ballmer as well. I mean, he's good for it, and he's already got it, an NBA team. Now, are there owners who have? I know there are owners who have teams in multiple sports, but is there an owner who has both? The Bensons, right, in New Orleans, don't they have both the Pelicans and the Saints? Yes. Are they the only ones who have both an NBA and an NFL franchise?
Well, Gale is the only one that has it in the same city. the Paul
Okay.
Allen Trust, they own the Seahawks as well as the Portland Trailblazers. So they have them in opposite cities. Outside of that, yeah, that's really about it. You don't really have very many that owns both an NFL franchise as well as a NBA. You do have them that own an NHL, but that's not. I mean, people don't really talk about that as much. I mean, it doesn't cost as much to get an NHL franchise outside of like it is to get an NBA and an NFL. So, yeah, there's a good chance that we're going to have a new owner out in Washington. Shout out to the Washington Commander fans. Hopefully they change the name.
No.
Yes.
No. There's nothing wrong with the name.
There's everything wrong with it. The Commanders
it's not great,
whack.
but it's not bad.
You know what they should have stayed with? Stay with the Washington football team.
The name is not what. It's not great. They had better options that they probably considered that they weren't able to use, but that is not a bad name. It's better than what it was. Not as great as it could be. It's decent. It won't matter one way or the other once the season starts because what they do on the field and Carson Wentz is going to matter more than what the actual name is.
Jimmy is awful.
There's probably an NFL team right now who has a name that's just a little bit worse than the Commanders.
Who?
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. I can't think of anybody.
Right. Yeah. Make something up for me, Jimmy. Make it up for me.
Okay. I'll come back to you at a later time with that. But the Commanders is not a bad name.
It's bad. It's bad. We'll leave it at that.